People, welcome back to another vlog. I hope you're doing very well. So, this is going to be, is this in focus? Kind of. This is going to be another sequel to the mini-series that we're doing where you basically ask questions and I will basically answer said question in a vlog. So if you want your question answered, leave a comment below and then I'll go through it in a vlog. That's kind of the mini-series, right? But we only had one question in last week, which is basically Ryan. So congratulations, Ryan. Your question is about to get lit up. It is quite a big question. So basically what I'm going to do is actually dissect two sections of it. And then we can go from there. So it was mainly going to be talking about the execution side of it. So basically technique and what cues I basically use with my own training. And then basically when I change technique. And I'll talk about some rationales and kind of situations that I will go through when I need to reset a movement. So, cues that I kind of give myself with technique nowadays. Now, I like to kind of get to or compare this to another sport. And because I'm playing golf, we're going to compare this to golf. Now, the best players in the world, Dustin Johnson, Rory McIlroy, we'll talk about like Tiger Woods if you want back in the heyday. They don't go through swings, right? They don't go through golf swings and then really think my hand needs to be here, my elbow needs to be here, my center direction needs to be here, I need to stop here, I need to swing here, I need to get over here and move my leg and hips this way. They just do it, right? And this is kind of where I like to get to, like when you're going through, when you're a beginner golfer, you have to think about this stuff, right? You have to think, my hand needs to be here, my elbow needs to be here, etc. I do it as a beginner, right? However, when you get to a position with your own training, like I don't need to think about my lat pull down and go, my elbow needs to be here, my torso direction needs to be here. I just get on the move, like on the lat pull down machine, and I just move from here to here, and I can guarantee it's going to be pretty technically sound because I've done it for so many times, like so many years, right? I think that happens with time where you basically think about cues to a point where you just forget about cues and then you move on. That's kind of where I like to get people and clients. So when they go through certain exercises, because they're so proficient and efficient with it, it's not necessarily neurologically taxing, because essentially what's happening is they've learnt the movement and they just get onto the movement and then they roll out. Sick transition to keep audience retention. But anyway, we'll get on to the other side of the question, which is basically when do I change technique? Now, as mentioned, we'll link it back to another sport, golf again. I'll pick. When does a pro golfer change his swing? Very rarely, right? The only reason why people consistently change technique is, there's two reasons. Number one, they get greedy with progressions. If you get greedy with progressions, guess what's going to happen? Your technique's going to change, right? And then all of a sudden you're going to have to reset to the kind of numbers that you were hitting before pretty accurately. So don't get greedy, right? Number one, first and foremost. Second reason, people play too much to feel. So if they go up in load, RDL is a great example, they start at 140, excellent execution, they can feel everything, right? They go to 150, so they're at 140. Did I say 140? Anyway, arbitrary numbers. They increase the load by 10%, for example. And then all of a sudden, technique is fairly similar, but they don't feel the muscle group, so then they reset, right? And that's a very poor thing to do for hypertrophy. Another change in camera angle, but so to wrap up the video and to wrap up the question, I don't think you should particularly use cues, especially if you're at an advanced level in your career. I think that cues should be used at the beginner stage of your career and then slowly transition out because you've learnt the movement. And then also, I don't think you should change technique too much. It just requires you not being greedy with load selection and also not looking too much at the feel of a movement. By that, feeling every single kind of move that or every single rep, thinking you're going to get the most stimulus. That's going to come from doing the movement over time, especially if the technique is sound. So, if you want your question answered like this in another vlog, then put the question down below in the comments, and I'll run through it. I hope you enjoyed the style of the vlog. If you didn't, that's